Hello! Welcome to The Sims Bustin' Out, No Cheats, Bust Out Part 1 to the speedrun tutorial. We're going to be going over the GameCube version, and we're going to be doing this the rolling deep way here. So, right away, you're going to want to have a 1019 memory card block, and you're going to want to have it as empty as possible. I'm just going to go ahead and leave this on here. Normally I would get rid of it because I believe having as much open space as possible on your memory card is going to save time. This is only taking up 3 blocks, and I'm sort of using it for another speed run in NFL Street. Josh Allen percent, baby. So I'm just going to keep that there, but you want to wipe clean any Sims file that you have. For the New Game Plus category, you're going to want a second memory card. You're going to want to have the file and move it over, whatnot. But for this, just have a 1019 memory card block, wipe it clean. I like to show off like everything I've got on my settings for my GameCube before I fire it up right here. So fire up your, recording or whatever. I like to show everything. I like to show the memory card. And we're going to go over some things. So if you're doing a cheat run, you can actually do the cheats, I believe, right here in the menu, which I didn't know for a while. And I was losing time to just doing the cheats, I think, in the run itself, like at the start of the run, but you can actually input the cheats here, like on this screen, if I'm not mistaken. But we're not going to worry about that. So we're going to go into the bust out here. I like to just have one character letter, so I just delete that. So I put N and P, and then you're just going to go into the personal stats here, and I'm going to go over them real quick verbally. I've got it all written and whatnot, but I'm just going to go ahead and give a rundown. Neat is the most useless stat in the game, so you want to have that at 0 at all times, period. It doesn't help with anything like stat building or anything. All it does is make your, give your sim auto commands, like cleaning, flushing a toilet or cleaning a mess or something, and you don't ever want to be doing that. You want to have like a maid to do that, and you can just do those things. You can order your sim to do that manually if that's something that you wanted to do. So that's completely useless. Always keep that 0. We're going to go down a few, down to playful here, because this is the other one that I would say is the second most useless stat. And basically having a high stat here is going to allow you to gain creative stat faster, but we don't use creative stat for anything in the just a normal, bust out run, which we're just doing a jock career, so we don't really need creative. And what this does is, like, the higher your playful stat is, that's going to cause your fun bar to go down faster. It can possibly help with interacting with specific sims that are also playful, but it's honestly not. It's more of a detriment to have a stat here in this, in neat and in playful. So we take those down to 0, and then this is kind of where it gets interesting with the top 3 stats, which is why I kind of wanted to single those 2 out right away. So you have outgoing here, and the higher the outgoing stat, the better social interaction commands that you're going to get like faster, and it's going to give you like a range of more beneficial chat interactions, like you get to hug sooner, you get to compliment right away, you get like, things are going to boost the relationship up as soon as possible. And that one I like to have at 10 for this category. And then there's nice, which kind of goes hand in hand with outgoing, because the higher the stat is, the more boost that you get for like social like the less likely the sim that you're trying to go make friends with will have a negative interaction with you, and the more likely you have a positive interaction. So like if you're cracking a joke or something and they take it the wrong way, it's a negative interaction, where maybe a nicer sim might have a better one. But the main thing in this stat right here that's good is like you'll get more points for relationship points up. Same thing happens with outgoing as well, so they're kind of like connected, but outgoing gives you like a bigger range of commands that you can get. So having a lower like if you have as low as possible outgoing, you'll actually build mechanical stat faster, and you're I believe this is the one that, so if you're like reading or doing stuff by yourself, your sim like kind of like finds fun in that. Like they're not as needy as far as socialization, but where that becomes a problem is for most of the careers you're going to have a minimum of so many friends to get to the final stage, and so you're constantly wanting to interact with sims. So I like to have that one at 10. I like to just keep nice at 5, but there's some options. I'll go over here real quick. And I like to have active at 10. And now active gets your body up as fast as possible. So when you're building bodies, that what you need 10 body for the jock career. It reduces sleep less and comfort less, and you like are more active to do stuff. So like getting out of bed, stuff like that, and you just pop right out. So it's definitely a very good stat to have, but it's debatable whether you can maybe take a couple off and do 8 active, or you do 9 active, 8 nice, 8 outgoing. That's a good build. Any sort of variation of these 3 stats, like having 10 active, I don't know. The only problem with going low on the outgoing is you're not going to get good interactions, but that's also like nice is a good stat to have. But what I like to do is go with 10 outgoing and 10 active. So I take the 5 off of neat, put it on outgoing, take the 5 off of playful, put it on active, and just roll that out. Now, just do what works for you. Try it out, experiment a little bit, see how things go. This is the one that works for me as far as the job career. Now, there's definitely, like, I'd probably recommend something more, like, even like this right here, like going 5 active, 10 outgoing, and 10 nice for some of the longer categories, because you're gonna have to maintain like 10 friends, and so there's a lot of social interacting towards the end of the game. But it's debatable whether you want to put some into playful for creative to go up faster. And outgoing, yeah, the higher the stat in outgoing also boosts charisma faster, and I believe you need 5 charisma in that, so it's good to have in this category, because you're gonna need to have 10 body, 5 charisma, 4 cooking, and 2 mech late game. So having the outgoing helps with getting getting your charisma stat up, getting your friend like getting the good interaction with other sims and all that stuff. So play around with what works for you. This is what I used in my route here. You'll see other runners do different things, and there's really no wrong answer. It's just you definitely want to have active high as possible, and you want to have a good, good amount of outgoing and nice. Now, like I said, you could go with this right here, which gives you one less than perfect active. And then you got an 8 in outgoing and 8 in nice. That's a good build. And I might try, I might even mess around and do a few runs with that. But for now, we're just gonna stick with 10 outgoing, 10 active, and 5 nice, which is what we have listed there. And that also, so I believe the signs have something to do with, who you're like, depending on what sims that you're talking to. If they have similar interests, you'll be able to interact. You'll be able to build chemistry with them better in the game. So we do kind of like handpick certain sims throughout the various runs. It's pretty much set in stone which ones we use for this category, but some of the other ones you can, you'll find that like some people don't like getting compliments. They take it offensive, or they like some, like Dudley, he likes to do fart jokes or like pull on my finger or whatever. You try that with somebody else, they're not playful, and they give you a negative interaction. So just things to kind of throw out there on that. So we're going to roll with that. The other thing I was going to bring up is, let's see, was it here? Yeah, see, you can choose, male and female here. Let's see, yeah, right here. Now the male will, when using the bathroom, will stand up to piss, and it could be a faster way to get the bladder up for the shorter bathroom breaks. But if they go past, like, I think a certain point, probably like halfway or something, they'll always sit down on the toilet. So it doesn't really matter, because most times you're gonna have like low bladder anyway, so it's not a big deal. But there's potential for maybe times 8 with the male in that one category. I'm not sure if the female has any benefits in particular. Not quite aware of that, but just throwing that out there. So you can build your sim however you want. I don't really mess with it. You can customize this before you start the timer. You can do a lot of different things. And here, I don't really mess with it. I just keep the stock sim, and I'm pretty much cool with that. But like maybe for the longer runs, if you, or just in general, just if you feel like personalizing your sim, that's an option. So timer does not start like right here. You want to press A on this, and then this text box shows up, and then you're gonna press A and start the timer when you close out of this. So we'll just go ahead and do a little demonstration of Club Rub, and that will conclude part 1 of the Sims Bustin' Out. Trying to keep it like pretty simple, but this is actually a pretty important part of the run, because you do want to know why it is that your stats are one way or another. So kind of went into detail with that. So fire up run. You're going to be holding R, which is going to advance into double time, and then you're going to try to sneak in a double click on the lover here, or the dream romantic, whatever. You're going to get a text box, and you can either get it in before the text box or after the text box. So we're just buffering, holding R, just holding R the whole time. And then we're going to do some shenanigans with the C-stick. So I wasn't able to get it in before the text box. And then a lot of people you'll see go over here, zoom in the camera, and you either mash here like that, or you can time those text boxes. And it looks like we got, I don't know, like a 53 fade out. We'll do it again like in fast time here. So you fire up the game, you got your 1019 blocked, everything would be clear, because if you don't clear it out, I'm actually going to show what happens here. You'll have a file here that says continue, so you'll have to go down here, and then it's going to ask you, it's going to prompt you, like, do you want to delete it or override it? I think in the middle, like after... Let's see, so we're going to go like that, and then this, and then like after you hit here, it's going to ask you this message. Now your timer is running, and you're getting this prompt that says, "Warning: do you wish to overwrite your slot?" And you're going to want to hit X, because otherwise I think it's going to keep asking you that throughout the game, because it's on an autosave feature, and it forces you to use that autosave feature. So there's nothing you can do to avoid it. Where like most games, like you want to run it without saving it, so you might not use a memory card, but it actually won't let you play this game without a memory card that's at least a 259 block or whatever they are. Yeah, so there I was able to get it in before, but the closing out the text box is bad there. And I'll try to time these ones. This first one was bad, the second one was good, right? And we'll do... from the top here. So fire up your game, go into the system memory card, wipe it clean. I kind of just show these panels just for, like, you know, like a lot of times I'll do no mic runs, and I don't like I like to kind of just show showing that I'm on console, showing that I'm firing up the GameCube, like showing like what everything looks like. It's a preference thing. You can just do what everyone else does, I guess, and start your recording right before you start here. It should be, you do that, you do this. Go in and boom, reset, and then start your timer, your recording here, or whatever. That's fine. But I like to just start the whole reset process. I'm like a console enthusiast type of person, where if I run a game, I like to run it on console, I like to run it on disc, I like to run it on hardware, all that stuff. I know for this game, people are using HDD runs, and it's allowed at the moment, so do you, but I'd rather run on disc and legitimate, like OG hardware. It's just a preference. So yeah, you're holding R to buffer the double speed. Right there I got the action in, and then I'm going over here to reduce lag, and you can actually use spam A if you want. If it seems like it creates more lag in between, I think, but so I don't really do it. I've seen another runner do it, and whatnot, but yeah. So that will conclude part 1 of the tutorial. I'll do a condensed version of this and upload it real quick, but this was a detailed part 1 for sim creation and club rub for the start of the game. Hope you guys stick around. We'll have some really good stuff coming up, and we'll get into the more the more technical parts of the run. That was it's very straightforward. A good time is going to be about 52 seconds, fading into the loading screen out of Club Rub. I'll catch you guys later in part 2 and the rest of the Sims Bustin' Out tutorial.